All right, for this fraction activity, boys and girls, you're going to need about 4 pieces of paper. Now, you could go get some construction paper. You can ask a grown-up if you can have 4 pieces of paper out of their printer, or you can tear some out of a notebook. Now, this isn't the exact kind of notebook you guys have because you have your composition notebooks, but it's the same idea. If you're going to pull a piece of paper out of a notebook, remember we had our hand at the top of the paper, and we'd pull a little bit at a time. And every time we pulled, we'd move this hand just down a little bit until the paper, each time I'm moving my hand down, and little by little, we're able to pull that paper out of the notebook. So you can use notebook paper. If it's not perfect, that's okay. Just try to get it close. Remember, with fractions, although mathematicians want us to be perfect, we're not all together supporting each other with cutting and pulling paper out of a notebook, so we're going to just do our best. For this first activity, get 1 piece of paper in front of you. I'm going to use this piece of construction paper. Now that you have your 1 piece of paper in front of you, we're going to talk about the fraction half. And when we're talking about the fraction half, and half is spelled like this. Now, you don't need to copy me yet. H-A-L-F. This is half. When you see half, that means that you have a whole, and that has been divided into 2 equal parts. So let's take a look at the piece of paper that we have in front of us. How can we fold that so that we fold it in half so that this whole piece of paper now has 2 equal parts? Well, let's try it. There's actually a couple ways you can do it. So watch both of my ways and you can pick one. Oops, I think I have 2 sheets here. So I can, of course, fold it this way, or I could choose to do it this way, but I'm going to go with the first way that I showed you. So I'm going to hold my paper, and I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to match this corner up with this corner, and when it's just right, I'm going to hold it still with this hand, and then I'm going to fix this corner over here, and when it's just right, I'm holding it with this hand. Now I'm going to have this hand hold it down, and this hand's going to slide over and put a crease in the paper. Let's open it back up and see what we have. Our whole piece of paper has now been divided into how many parts? It's been divided up into 2 parts, and each one of these parts is a half. If we talk about more than 1 part, they're called halves with that V sound. Now that we have our paper and it's been divided into 2 parts, you can also go ahead and do your division line if you would like, or you could just use your fold. And we call this 1/2. So label your paper 1/2. And if this is 1/2, and these are 2 equal parts, what's the name of this part? It's also 1/2. You may go ahead and label your paper. Click on pause here until you get all caught up with me. And when your paper looks just like mine, then you can click on play again. Okay, boys and girls, let's try another one. This time, get a new piece of paper. And for this paper, we're going to divide it into fourths. If we're dividing something into fourths, how many equal parts does it have? Yes, it has 4 equal parts. So how could we divide this into fourths? 4 equal parts. Think about what kind of folds you would do. We've done this plenty of times as we would use these boxes for work in the classroom. All right, follow along with me. I'm going to fold my paper the first time all the way in half, and it doesn't matter which direction you choose to do first, this one, or you can go and do what we call the hamburger fold. I'm going to do my hot dog fold here first. Looks like a hot dog, long fold, and I'm going to crease it after I've matched up my corners. Now I'm going to open up my hot dog fold, and I'm going to do my hamburger fold. Remember, hamburgers were a little wider. Okay, match up my corners, hold it, make my crease, and open it back up. And there are your 4 boxes. We used to just call them 4 boxes, but now you're ready for the language of a mathematician, because we have a whole piece of paper that has been divided into fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. And if you want to draw your dividing line, you can. Let's go ahead and begin to label our parts. This is 1/4. This is also 1/4. If I'm going too fast, you can pause the video and get caught up. What's the name of this part? And the name of this part is also 1/4. How many fourths did it take to make this whole sheet of paper? 1, 2, 3, 4. It takes 4 fourths to make this sheet of paper. Now I'm just wondering, how many of the fourths am I touching right now? 1/4. How many of the fourths am I touching now? 2 fourths. If I'm touching 2 fourths, how many fourths am I not touching? 2 fourths. All right, good job. We're going to do one more. So move that paper off to the side, press pause if you need to prepare, and get a piece of paper, just like I'm doing. All right, so far we've done 1/2 and 1/4. This one we're going to do in thirds. So folding a paper into thirds can be a little tricky, so watch how I do this first. Here I have my paper, and whoops, I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit so you can see the whole paper. There we go. And so I am going to divide this into thirds, and I'm going to do not all the way over so that it's in half, but I'm going to fold it just enough so that before I put a crease, this section looks about the same size as this section. So watch what I do again. Here's my paper. I'm going to bring this side up, and I'm not going to go all the way over like I would if it was halves. I'm going to stop a little early, and I'm going to put it kind of right in the middle so that this section or this part looks about the same size as this part. And when I do, and I see my 2 parts, I'm going to push down and fold. And I'm pushing that crease. Now I'm going to take this side, and using this as my folding line, I'm going to fold over and push down my fold. Now when I open this side up and I open this side up, how many pieces do you see? How many parts? 1, 2, 3. If a whole item has 3 parts, what's the mathematician's word for that? What's the fraction word for 3? It is thirds. I'm going to go ahead, and try to do my best division lines. This is 1/3. I'm going to write the word third here. This is also 1/3. And this one is also 1/3. There's the word third. Takes 3/3 to make this whole piece of paper. How many thirds am I touching right now? Only 1/3. How many thirds am I not touching? What fraction am I not touching? I'm not touching 2/3. I'm not touching that one, and I'm not touching that one. Let's look back at the other one we just did a moment ago. This is when we did fourths. I was going to run out of room a little bit. How many fourths am I touching? If you said 1/4, you're right. How many fourths am I not touching? I am not touching 3/4. And the very first one that we did were our halves. This is 1/2. The word half looks like that. Now, if we're talking about two halves, more than one, this word changes. This is 1/2. This is 2 halves. All right, great job. Hold on to these papers. We're going to need them for some future activities that we'll be doing. So don't lose them.